You ever heard a woman at my job say, your whole personality revolves around what you hate instead of what you love, and that is an awful way to live? To the resident vocal mega in the break room. He was stunned into silence for at least 60 seconds, so that was nice. Close up forming attachments to inanimate objects. Do you mean psychological or physiological attachments? Hot glue gun. I found out my phone can make PNGs, and I'm gonna throw up laughing at this one of my BF's cat. That face though. This will stay in my ask box forever. I have never enjoyed an ask so much as I have enjoyed this one. Nice outfit, loser. 2001 called and they said that something happened to the World Trade Center. Huh? Thinking about how as a kid I was afraid to sleep alone in my room because I thought a ghost lived in my closet, so every night I'd wake up and move into my parents' room to sleep on the itchy wool rug on the floor. It was a bit under their bed and I wanted to lie on it perfectly, so I'd be a bit under the bed. But I also loved to eat ice cubes, so while I was up in the dead of night anyway, I'd grab an ice cube from the freezer. And then I'd sneak into their room and lie down and start crunching on my ice cube, and without fail, my dad would wake up and be like, "Are you really eating ice in here at 3 a.m. again?" Then I'd swallow the whole ice cube really fast. Anyway, anytime I think I'm ready for kids, I think about losing sleep every night because there's a 80-pound sentient creature halfway under my bed just eating ice. The best friends to lovers trope is incredibly popular and has been around for ages. But when it involves two women, suddenly people are like, you've never had a best friend if you ship them, or I support female friendships don't corrupt their friendship with romance, as if romance between two women automatically diminishes their friendship instead of strengthening an existing bond and creating a beautiful romantic relationship based off the foundation of their friendship. Always felt that she inherently cannot to fulfill the arbitrary standards of being good, so her only choice was to lean on bad as a cornerstone of her identity. Based his entire identity around being the good kid, so now he has a minor identity crisis every time he has a selfish, mean, normal teenager thought. Thinks they're a diabolical mastermind, but actually lacks the competence or active malice to do anything more than be a self-loathing, sleep-deprived edgelord. Hot new Deltarune theory. The three main characters are just representatives of the different subtype of remember when you were 15 and were convinced you were evil and irredeemable, but it turns out you were just 15 syndrome? I mean, Deltarune does seem to be a coming-of-age story, so it tracks. As a general rule of fantasy and sci-fi naming, the closer to the back half of the alphabet the average letter in the name is, the eviler they are. A name that doesn't contain any consonants north of R is poison frog coloration. It uses Y as a vowel in a non-terminal position, you're basically screwed. A 500-word short story with the same plot as your novel that explores how quickly the problem could be solved by Sonic the Hedgehog. Getting to Mount Doom wasn't a problem for Sonic, but much like Frodo, giving up the ring was hard. And it wasn't because of some piddly magic effect this time. Sonic's very nature was built around keeping rings. Sobbing, he turned to his trusting friend Knuckles Gamgee. "Knuckles, I need you to punch me." Knuckles Gamgee. Y'all do know Scott Cawthon is making money off the FNAF movie, and he donates to Republican politicians who have been supporting the anti-trans legislation going on, right? Y'all, pick of Harry Potter and J.K. Rowling, can't stand this girl. Also, y'all, me and my bestie, pick of FNAF and Scott Cawthon. Cave painting dance scene. We are worth saving. Toilet paper tastes really good, but the man doesn't want you to eat it because it will unlock your full potential. To be honest, as a lesbian, I don't always give a frick if Yuri is for the male gaze. Perhaps if more men started Himadachiing out, the world would be a more beautiful place. I don't think only lesbians should care about Yuri. Everyone should care about Yuri. One of my favorite tropes is villain decay. It's not a redemption or reformation. The character themselves doesn't necessarily change morally or behaviorally. But as the stakes become higher and more serious, antagonists are introduced, the original villain seems harmless and friendly in comparison. I love this trope so much when it's used to represent that this story has gone more serious. Because if the writer can acknowledge that, yeah, our original arc was pointless in the grand scheme of things, and only act to introduce you to the world and characters, It's really, really fun. I call my parents and say, yeah, I can't do family stuff tonight. I got too much stuff to do for school. And I email my professor to say, I can't do my assignments tonight. Work got crazy. And I text my boss saying, sorry, I can't work late tonight. I got some family stuff. And through this triangulation of deceitful excuses, I at last will be free. Yeah, man, this Blizzard conference is such a drag. I just saw a guy clap his hands together and say, hastened networking or something, and suddenly everyone in a 20-foot radius was holding a copy of the dude's business card. Nobody even acknowledged the quality of his card. That's how common this is. I'm over here casting handshake and level 2 small talk. I think I just heard power word video call 2 groups over. I gotta get a new job. I don't know why, but first of all, I love that this is just becoming a thing where we rework this exact paragraph. But also, for me, social networking very much so does feel like this is actually what's happening. I have no idea how these people are doing it, but it's working and I'm scared. I hope there are kids with YouTube poop parents. Like, you grew up hearing your dad say, I hope she made a lot of spaghetti. And just assume it was his personal in-joke until you turned like 12. I love how many horror movie characters wear turtlenecks because without fail, during the worst moments of my life, I was definitely wearing a turtleneck too. That's because turtlenecks are evil. They just are. Lying in front of a street cleaner. Did the street cleaner believe you? It's like talking to a freaking genie with you people. I'm sorry guys, a few years ago I found a button that says press this to make the world 1% more evil, and I've been pressing it and pressing it all day long every day. I'm not gonna stop pressing anytime soon, but I wanted to say I'm sorry. Also, I'm very happy to say that I have forgiven myself, so that's a big milestone for me. I'll have you know, some of my posts have been approved and passed around by the leading experimental underground posters on this site. Sorry pal, I can't let you through unless you have the password. Grabs like bowling ball. What? Ooh? What? Pick 'em up and move 'em like bowling ball. Well damn, it worked. But if I gain freedom, who's gonna make Tito's coffee every day, and tuck him in every night, and take care of him when he's sick, and doing his dishes, and his antenna massages? Oh my god, bruh. Bruh doesn't want to be free. Would you look at that point, Dexter? The Big Apple. Been a while since we last visited, huh? Stanley, where did they go? End of War 2. Unoriginal joke, yeah. But it did just dawn on me that, yeah, no, he did miss that. They kind of gloss over how many events Stanford missed, which really only makes sense when you consider that none of them really mattered to the plot. Poor guy missed a lot. Emo. They blocked Tumblr at my school, apparently a social networking site. I might drop out of my computer classes now. Fair, but it is a social networking site. As clowny as it is still technically one. Incel, Excel, incorrectly assuming something is a date. Oh my freaking god. There's another one that adds, me about to bite into a fig, and honestly, I'm still laughing. Well, guess I'm going on a search for that image because it sounds funny. 20 minutes later. Incel, Excel, sheets that are never clean, meeting a fig, incorrectly assuming something is a date, the dying gasp of wasps, makes a mess on my desktop. I'm sorry, the dying gasp of wasps? What have the incels been doing? Why divide people by irrational things when you could divide them whether their word for cotton candy is valid or not? Examples: American English, cotton candy, good. British English, fairy floss, not valid? Seriously? Spanish and German, sugar cotton, good. French, daddy's beard, not valid, oh no. I'm sorry, the French call it what? Why are bugs so obsessed with looking like plants? Be yourself. A bird wrote this. We see you in your trickery. Couple in their 30s, a clearly unhealthy relationship. Unicorn hunting. Forgot this meant people who bug bisexuals in dating apps for a third in their relationship, and for a second I thought people in their 30s really went around looking for actual unicorns like some people looking for Bigfoot. You know, a sad thing is that would actually be healthier. Spending more time together, removing yourself from a lot of your issues to engage in something as a couple, that's significantly healthier than bugging other people to have certain activities together. Feels weird that that's true. The year was 2024. My friend had given me a uniform resource locator, which I plugged into the hypertext transfer protocol. Bits flowed into my computer from hundreds of miles away, and the picture elements of my liquid crystal display lit up as the hypertext rendered. In an all too familiar pattern, once again I had become the victim of a rickroll. Sometimes the author's barely disguised fetish is your barely disguised fetish, and it's nothing to do with the author at all. Sigmund Freud reading Opus Rex. Exactly. When it comes to story analyzing, the author unintentionally puts part of themselves into the story. But the reader also always puts part of themselves into what they're reading. These two things are always unintentional, and you can never tell exactly how much is which. Day 1 of eating every plant I see, something bad is happening. Special thanks to Willow, our glass passenger.